Oh my goodness, happy February. My goodness. I love all the little social media posts about how January was a free month, right? A trial version of the new year. Oh, I can feel it. If you're out there sick, man, I feel you. I last Monday I got the flu and it turned into other stuff. But you know what, dadgummit, the show must go on, especially when you have a guest like we have today. So hey, if you don't know me, hey, I'm the proud and humble leader, Mike Asherbranner, professionally known as the Redneck Connector, and proud and humble leader of the Hounds of Business. And you were rolling with Mike King Biz Radio on ESPN 106.1 FM RVA. All the folks driving around Richmond, happy Friday. So good to have you with us. And I tell you what, we're going to roll the intro video and get this amazing lady right up here, guys. Hey, I'll have fun. We're going to have a blast today. Even with the stuffy nose, we got this.
Looks like your business might be in a bit of a pickle. Don't you worry about a thing. You ain't alone in this. You're just a success story waiting to happen. Trust me on that. Every bump in the road is just an opportunity wearing a clever disguise. Welcome to the Hounds of Business community, where we don't just sit around twiddling our thumbs. Nope. We turn those obstacles into mighty fine stepping stones. This here's a place where high-level entrepreneurs and sharp professionals gather to grow their businesses and mindsets, kind of like how a good old gumbo needs the right ingredients to be something special. Ideas thrive here, and collaborations, well, they're as natural as sweet tea on a hot day. Success, it's a journey, and we're fixing to walk that road right beside you. Now, don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn for all the latest tips and insights. We're talking about the kind of wisdom that'll keep you ahead of the game. And while you're at it, head on over to our YouTube channel. We've got ourselves a treasure trove of videos, from expert interviews to webinars, everything you need to stay sharp in this fast-moving world of business. The Hounds of Business community? Well, we ain't just a network, we're a movement. So why not come on and be part of something bigger? Join us today and let's turn your business journey into a real Southern success story. Together, we'll achieve greatness, just like crawfish and singing on a Friday night.
That never gets old. Crawfish and singing on a Friday night. Let's bring her up. And as we do, let's say hello to the Hounds and friends of the Hounds who are already piling in. Man, I missed y'all last week. So Noni is here. Absolutely. OZK Studios, Lewis Thickley, Homer. Good to see you, Homer, over there from the Philippines. Hounds of Business, Cowgirl is there. And Bobby Parker. My goodness. Please welcome Tammy Cohen. How are you today?
Hey, Mike. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm doing well today. How are you?
Good. I know I have fever brain, but that's not a Southern accent, is it? Where is that? What is that?
No, that's a Manhattan, New York accent, baby.
That is the. If you looked it up in the dictionary, there's you, right? That's the voice. So good to see you. You are such a good person. We met through the one and only Tanya Eberhard. Is that right?
That's right. The one and only. She's extraordinary.
Oh, man, if that woman popped angel wings, I would not even flinch. Good people out here. So, hey, we're going to get right to the chase. I cannot wait to get my country hands on this book. And so you got your book, Text Messages to My Sons, right? So if there's anybody out there with children, right, especially under 18, hey, check this out. But it's also good for all age parents, right, and all age kids. It's getting an expanded edition. It's getting a makeover, right, a remake. So what inspired you to write the original book? And what kind of new insights can readers expect in the updated version, Tammy?
Well, first of all, I never set out to write a book, and I had no plan to become an author. What happened was when the pandemic started and we were all shut down, we had time to think. I mean, it was like God was like, everybody stop, think. Now, I'm not saying it wasn't a very challenging time, but for me, I realized, I wasn't very happy. I had very negative beliefs in my head. I was dealing with, stuff from the past that I never really resolved. And it was affecting the way I looked at everything in my relationships. So I just deep dived into a lot of learning. I was doing, Tony Robbins and Mind Valley and Joe Dispenza and Robin Sharma. And I was everywhere. I was doing life book.
Yeah.
I couldn't get enough of it. I was reading constantly amazing books from thought leaders who lived, 100 years ago to the last century. It just was one thing after another. And as I was absorbing this information and going through these masterminds and all this coursework, I said, I really would love to share this with my sons, because I knew they never learned any of this growing up. Now, my sons are older. When I started this with them, about 4 or 5 years ago, they were in their 20s already. And I realized that every single person is walking around with a phone, either in their hand or their pocket or their bag. That's how people are communicating. Nobody's having in-person conversations. So all I wanted to do was share high frequency energies with them. I wanted to tell them, let them know every day how much I love them. I wanted to inspire them. I wanted to share real wisdom, not misinformation and indoctrination. I wanted to have that connection, and I knew they would read the text. So that's how it started. And what happened was, as I was doing it, friends and colleagues, I would tell them I was doing it during the pandemic, and they were like, wow, that's amazing. You should write a
Yeah.
book. And I said, okay, let me figure this out. So I self-published the first edition called Text Messages to My Sons, Connecting Deeply in the World of Devices. And that book kind of took on a life of its own. And now I'm really pleased to say the expanded edition is coming out in April 2025. And I'm working with, a publishing team, and it's just a whole other world. And it's very interesting to me. I feel like I did do a test run. I encourage everybody to go out and do something self-published. You learn so much. I learned a lot, but now I can bring it to a bigger stage and where I can really fulfill my mission, which took me a little bit of time to resonate with and understand.
Wow. So let's recap that. Folks in the comments, hey, if you're watching live, hey, please chime in, right? What's your thoughts? Because I think it's fascinating. This is why the Hounds, comes together, because we're just regular old people doing our own thing, working our jobs or business or whatever. And then something like this happens, right? And then we just go on this crazy rabbit trail. So you said you were doing the inner work, which, hey, I know everybody in the comments, they know about that, right? So watching your videos on YouTube, trying to get better in secret kind of stuff. And then thinking, oh my gosh, right? I didn't learn this, so I didn't teach this to my kids, and having that. And then somebody comes along, right? It's like a movie. And someone comes along and says, hey, you ought to put that in a book. Real quick, did you go, get out of here? Like, or did you go, hey, you're right? Like, was it Eureka, or was it nah? And then it just kind of come up later? Or
Well, that's a really good question. It was such a constant comment from people, like when I would say I'm doing it, and that was the reaction. You should put that in a book. And you know what? After hearing it the 10th time, I said maybe I need to put this in a book. It was like this kept coming up. So that was really for me what it was all about. And I really had no idea what it meant to put out a book. I just started figuring it out and Googling, and God's amazing. I'm a big believer in God and everything. You take one step and then other doors open, and God kind of directed me like, you need an editor, you need this. And I was just like, oh yeah, I need those things. So eventually, and my kids also were so supportive. My sons were very supportive, and they actually came about and said, hey, I have a great cover design. I have a great graphic designer. Why don't you speak to this person? And they really weighed in on a lot of design concepts and everything. So it became like a project for us. And I just was very, very grateful to have that support, because I really didn't know how to put out a book. It wasn't something I'd ever done before.
yeah, well, let me tell folks, because some people are working or on the radio or driving around, and so I want to make sure people know where to get the pre-order, right? If they want to go check it out and get the pre-order, it is, tell them where it's at. It's on Amazon,
Yes.
and it's Tammy J Cohen, Cohen. So Tammy J Cohen is the author, and it's Text Messages to My Son. All right, so you can go and get that pre-order on Amazon. Is that right?
Yes, and there's also the expanded edition is Text Messages to My Sons, because that's the main title, but the actual tag, the subtitle is A Guide to Using Mobile Devices to Connect and Communicate with Your Kids. So it's the next generation, it's the next level of what I'm doing.
I love this. I mean, because we can swim upstream and make our kids mad. I've tried all that, right? Tell them come sit down and talk, and then they just look at you, right? So, or you can just figure out how to play on their level. I was wanting to spend time with my daughter. I figured it was over because she just hit that age, right, at around 12. But then once I got my streaming computer, we were able to play games on it. And guess what? I sit here probably 3 hours on a Friday night watching her play games. And I thought I was so excited because I thought it was over. I was like, well, now I got the other one I can hang out with. And no, I just found a way to connect with her. Hey, Dad, can I play? Yeah, I don't need a turn. I'm here for her. Right. So I love the attitude and the sentiment of connecting with your kids. And, even if you hate the game, just, love the moment. Right.
Yeah, well,
So,
we have to reach out to them where they are, not where we want them to be. I didn't grow up that way, and there were no cell phones, there was no internet. So we have to look at where they are with no expectations. I never once had an expectation of an answer. That's not why you send the message. It has nothing to do with the answer. And people always like, well, what do your sons say back? Do they? And yeah, they respond sometimes, great message, sometimes I love you, sometimes heart emojis. But it's me sending that energy to them, because let me tell you something, Mike, when you write that message, when you're sending love and gratitude, when you're sending that to your loved one, to your child, I mean, you could do it with anybody who you feel you need to deepen a connection with. That energy release, when that message gets sent, is something you feel. And when they receive that message and they read it, that energy that they're releasing because they received that message is very potent. Now, just imagine if everybody's doing this, the level of higher frequency energy, love and gratitude, and all those other emotions is out there. And that's what's going to override today's world, which is very much indoctrination of hate, violence, propaganda, misinformation. How do you counter that? You do the opposite. And that's why this really took on a whole other meaning for me. And that's what I try to explain to people who want to do it too.
yes. Wow. So I was already going to want to ask you this, and you just set that one right up. I love what you said. You never had an expectation of a response or something in return, right? Is that what you said?
Mhm.
That yeah, because that's the planting seeds. She doesn't. I don't need. I just need her to know I'm there, right? That's how I look at it. Whether it's received, eye rolls, it doesn't matter. Like Daddy did it, right? And one day, maybe she's 50 years old. She'll appreciate that. And so, on what you just said, one of the themes in your book, correct me if I'm wrong, right, is finding innovative ways to connect beyond face-to-face conversations. We do live in this age. So can you recall or share a specific example of a text that had a profound impact on your relationship with your sons?
Yeah, it's very interesting. So I decided to start taking accountability because, we're not perfect parents. And there were many times I realized, because, I'm going to take a step back. I've worked with coaches and done a lot of the whole subconscious thing. I'm very involved now with positive intelligence, Shirzad Shamin's program, and really learning a lot about when you're a child and you're growing up, you're with your family, and that your subconscious just wants you to be loved by that tribe and fit in and survive. So sometimes the tribe is saying things around you, and you start taking that in as the truth. It becomes your truth. And a lot of those seriously crazy thoughts or limiting thoughts stay with you. So what happened was I wanted to own all the times I lost my temper. That something they did or said triggered me into something that had nothing to do with them. So I started messaging accountability, and that's a brand new chapter in the new book. And my son started to see me as a human being. I think at that moment is really what changed our relationship, because I was able to say to them, I'm sorry, it was never you. It was me. I wasn't happy. It was my issue, it wasn't you. And that really changed a lot of the dynamics, because if you want your kids to be accountable, you have to be. And that's it. That was basically the moment that really changed us, where they saw me as a human.
That yeah, because they think we're Superman and woman, right? Until they start hitting the age of awareness, like big awareness, and then they're like, "Wow, Dad and Mom's kind of got issues." Right? So I've realized that too. Don't try to cover it up. It's not like the cat in the litter box, right? Don't cover it up. It's better to own it and just work through it. And honestly, I love what you said earlier. Is really doing the inner work, because we can't teach what we don't know, and they don't care what we have to say much anyway unless we're doing the work, right? Like you got to have that credibility. What gives me I'm with you. There's nothing wrong with you, right? And so anyway, the relatability. So uh First of all, I want to give a shout out to Mike King Biz Radio real quick. Hey, Mike King, thank you for all you do. You push up your community like no other. They put this guy on the Jumbotron when the ball games are happening, man. I mean, he's got it going on. So our partnership, so we can take this international, is just PB&J in the same jar. You guys really appreciate you and all the amazing folks out there in Richmond. Man, it's a blessing to do this here every week. And listen, if you're trying to build a business, right, you got some impact or some passion, just like Tammy, that you want to make in the world, don't do it alone. It's hard enough, right? Don't go uphill with this, right? People have an impact they want to make, but they won't because they don't have the people, resources, and support. And that's where the Hounds of Business fits in. So shameless plug to us. Hey, clarity, connections, community, and conversion. If you're struggling with any of those things that you need to build a business, don't do it by yourself. Hey, come test drive us. I got a group call. You can find us on YouTube, Hounds of Business, LinkedIn, Hounds of Business, right? Redneck One, Mike Asherbrander, or send me one of those old school carrier pigeons too. I still accept those if you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, do it the other way. So we are here today. If you're just tuning in with Tammy Cohen, right? Author of Text Messages to My Son, is getting an update, an expanded version. So excited. You can go to Amazon, look for the expanded version of Text Messages to My Son, get the pre-order. It's going to drop in April. All right. We'll keep you posted. Go to our YouTube channel. We'll keep this up for you guys so you guys can continue to, plug into this. But this discussion, if you have kids or, wow, this is a great discussion. I forgot I was sick. This is how good this is. So let's see. I want to dive in a little bit. In working with other families, right, who've adopted your approach, because I'm sure there's many families who are like, wow, this is a great a method here. This is a great way to look at it. What transformations have you seen and witnessed in their parent-child relationship as a result of this?
Well, it's interesting. People always share that they started doing this with their kids. And what's interesting is the dads and grandparents, which I was always like, I'm a mom, so you talk to moms, but a lot of dads, especially in situations where there's divorce and it's not a pleasant divorce and the kids are kind of in the middle, and it's very touch and go. The dads might not be able to see their child. And it gave them an opportunity to communicate to that child that they can't act, that they're not seeing, there's a lot of negativity. So they can just send that child like, I love you, I think about you, I care about you. And what was really interesting to me, somebody shared a story that they had a situation and their daughter didn't communicate. They didn't communicate for years because of a very nasty divorce. But he always sent a letter. And she would read it, but she never responded. And then one day he just said, years later, she doesn't respond, and he stopped. And that was when she stopped getting the letter. That was when she was felt abandoned. Just because your kids don't respond doesn't mean that they don't appreciate hearing from you, that they don't appreciate knowing that you're there, that you love them. So that was a big thing with dads. Grandparents, they have grandchildren who are in their teens. They have grandchildren who are older. It's not just all about, them seeing their grandchildren once in a while. They can message their grandchildren every day. And that was really exciting to me. And for parents who are like, you know what? I really want to do this, but I don't know what to say. What do I say? What do I do? I'm like, first of all, let me explain something. This isn't a one and done. It's not like a message, hey, honey, good morning, I love you. It's not like that. It's a consistent practice that I do Monday through Friday. It's every day because on the weekend I see them. But it's every day and it's consistent. And you don't have to do it necessarily in the morning or the afternoon. You just get that message out. But I say to them, hey, I put out a book with 13 chapters and hundreds of text messages. They're there for you. Take the book, take a message from any chapter, tweak it, see what resonates with you, and make it your own. But I guarantee you, what's going to happen? What's going to happen is it's going to start coming from your heart. You're going to know what to tell your children. You're going to know what to say to your loved one because you're going to feel it coming out of you, and it's going to just hit you and hit them. And you're going to notice things that you never noticed around you, beautiful things that you're going to want to share. It's going to come to you. You're not going to need to borrow messages, but they're there for you to use. That's the point. This is just a guide. I want you to get started. I want to help you get started. That's the whole point of it.
Oh my goodness. So correct me if I'm wrong. What I hear is the mindset here isn't to approach this like you're trying to pass the SATs or something, right? Like it's not a goal to be accomplished. What we're trying to do is just create authentic connection with our children again on their terms. It's just the means to an end. Is that right?
Mike, it's just the whole book's written in text message format. It's the easiest book you're ever going to read. And what's really cool about it is that you can go from chapter to chapter, pick a chapter, mindset and mindfulness and mindset, gratitude and appreciation, accountability, advice, family and love, leadership, discipline and determination. Pick the chapter you want. Look at the messages. It's really easy. It's in text message format. It's so easy to read. I'm going to share a very quick story. My
Please.
husband read the book, my first edition. Now, English is his fourth language. He read the book in literally like a day and a half. And he said, that was the easiest read I've ever read. And you know what? I didn't know you felt that way. I'm married over 30 years.
Wow.
People tell me it's the easiest book. They love reading it because it's in text message format, which they're used to. And also, you know what? They can go from chapter to chapter because there's no character or plot development. So you're not missing if you move around the book. So I made it real easy. Let me put it to you that way.
Right. And I'm gonna chime in because I want to answer this question before we have to go. But so you're like a lot of us, right? You're very accomplished. You have a career. I mean, all these things going on, and so it doesn't matter. There's no excuses that you broke this down and really just made this so easy and fun to follow. I love what happened, and then you and hubby, reconnected over. So there's so many compound effects and so many nice little offshoots that can happen. And so here's the last question for parents. And by the way, hey, Tammy Cohen, all right, Cohen, Tammy Cohen. All right, go on Amazon, look for her, and text message to my son, the expanded upcoming edition, pre-order it in April. All right. And also she's on Instagram and everywhere else.
You
So
have to add the J. That's how I separate myself from the other gazillion Tammy Cohens out there. Tammy J Cohen is
yes,
quicker.
it's
Yeah.
like Mike Smith, right? So yeah, Tammy J Cohen, y'all. J, and I don't have to spell J. That's self-explanatory. So for parents who feel disconnected from their kids, right, especially in this day and age, what's one simple strategy from your book that they can start implementing today?
Well, here's the beauty of the whole thing. I mean, you own you have a phone, right?
I lose it.
You don't need to spend thousands of dollars on coaches and therapists. Okay, you just have to. You can take the book, open up, and take a message and start. Once you start, the next step will come, and it'll be the next day, and you'll do it. You have to start. It's very simple. I don't even have strategy. I'm like, just do it. The next morning or the next afternoon, you have 5 or 10 minutes a day. How many hours are there in a day that you're awake? You're going to tell me you don't have 5 or 10 minutes to send a message to your kids of love and inspiration, and you have a guide there that you can use to tweak the message. Like I said, just start one step. That's it. Take one step at a time, and you will find you will be doing this. And don't get discouraged if your kids don't answer, and don't even get discouraged if your kids say, "What are you doing? I don't want you to do this." You do it because it's not about that. It's about you doing this for them. That's it.
I love it. Hey, and before we end up, we got to have you on the Hounds, the flagship show on Wednesdays, the Hounds of Business Live. Oh man, my 6-year-old, right? So my oldest helped her get an app. So I'm sitting here working and I'm getting voice to text messages from my 6-year-old. It was the most adorable thing ever. I've tried to download it, upload it to the cloud so I'll never lose it. She just kept rambling on and on about the weather and whatever else. And, so look, bring a smile on people's face. Don't swim, don't go upstream. I love that. I do this to hounds, much less my kids. So I cannot wait to get my hands on this book, Tammy. You're a fantastic individual and cannot wait for you. She's incoming hounds, y'all. So, hey, we're doing something right. Look at who we're rolling with, y'all. So, Tammy, thank you so much. We'll have you back. And is there anything else you want to share with anybody? Because we got a minute. Yeah.
Well, I just want to say thank you for having me on and for creating the Hounds of Business. It's an amazing community. I've had the pleasure of joining a previous call, and I definitely think what you're doing, you're creating clarity, you're creating connection. This is about connection. What's this? That's what we're talking about here. It's connection and deepening connections. That's what we want to do. That's the only way that we're going to be able to help our kids get stronger, because they are facing algorithms, they're facing distractions, they're facing lack of focus, and they're facing a lot of indoctrination that's not particularly good for them. So we want to take that position and deepen those connections so they know what's real. And I've got news for you also. When I move to the next stage, when my life is over, what do you think my kids are going to miss? What do you think your kids are going to remember? What you bought them? No, they're going to look for those messages. They're going to miss the messages. That's what's going to bring them love and joy and peace and memories, those kind of memories. So think about it and make it happen now.
Well said. I have nothing to add and mess that up. So thank you so much. It's all about connection. That's it. So connect with us. Hey, thank you for connecting with us today, everyone. Folks in Richmond, hey, we appreciate you. Hounds, friends of the Hounds, for showing up live today. You're awesome. And Mike King, hey, man, we appreciate you. Keep making a positive impact. Too many negative things out there. I can't control that. But we can expand our community and our ecosystem. And we can go out there and get more Tammys and push them up. That's what this whole thing's about, y'all. So, hey, love you guys. Appreciate you. And we'll see you on the next one. Next week, we had to reschedule it. Special Forces, all right, U.S. Navy, Brian Muka, all right, don't miss that one, all right. You talking about fear, all right, fear in life and business. You don't. That guy's got credibility. Let's talk about it. So everybody have a good one. Wave to the people, Tammy. Have a good one, y'all.
Bye.
Thank y'all for stopping by. Be sure to follow, share, and like, and send me a message if you had fun today. Y'all come back now.